What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now thankfully the worst thing I've found on my food is either a dead bug or the hair of either the server or the chef. To my knowledge, I didn't know half the shit on this list could even be in food, otherwise I probably would have switched to a sunlight and photosynthesis diet, but here I am. With that being said, these are the top 10 terrifying things that can hide in your food. Starting us off at number 10, we have rotting frogs. So it's actually common to eat frog legs in Cantonese and French cuisine, but that's when it's a conscious decision. It was not a conscious decision for the man in question. Back in 2009, an unnamed man started drinking a can of Diet Pepsi, and instead of the familiar taste he was expecting, this foul liquid entered his mouth which he couldn't even explain the taste of. When he poured it out to try and get to the bottom of it, what came out was a small semi-molten creature that had been decomposing inside the can. He got the FDA involved, who said it was most likely a frog or toad, but they couldn't really say for sure since its internal organs had been melted. However, they did say that it's not Pepsi's fault since they inspected their bottling plant and found no link. Honestly, FDA are good for nothing. What do you mean it's not Pepsi's fault? Of course it's Pepsi's fault. And I'm someone who likes Pepsi more than Coke, and I'm saying that. Coming in at number 9, we have titanium dioxide. Now typically this chemical is used to make white things whiter, which explains why it's one of the main ingredients found in white paint. But paint aside, a lot of food manufacturers use it to make their white foods brighter, which is why it's commonly found in things like skim milk, ranch dressing, mayonnaise, marshmallows, and so forth. And that's terrible news for me because I bloody love mayonnaise on everything. It's not even a joke, so I mean, how much of that am I digesting just alone? Now the other thing that's not a joke is the fact that people have argued that titanium dioxide could also be a carcinogen and therefore be really dangerous for our lungs. I mean, I already smoke shisha, so I mean, I'm not doing anything good for my lungs at the minute. Don't look at me. Don't judge me. At number 8, we have BEAVERS glandular secretions. I know, I don't even know what to say about this one, I'm just gonna go into it. So apparently castoreum is a chemical that comes from a beaver's anal gland, and it's used a lot in vanilla flavored snacks that don't have any vanilla extract in them. The beavers use this secretion to mark their territory, but it surprisingly smells like vanilla, and hence they put it in our food. Because I guess using actual vanilla is such a reach and apparently impossible, but beaver anal gland secretion is so easy to get. Yeah right, miss me with that bullshit. Thankfully I don't like sweet things, so there's no anal gland secretion going inside me. 7th slot are bullets. Apparently live bullets can be found in your food because some food assemblers are just that nonchalant and are not paying attention. Like, that's so funny when you have your McDonald's shift at 3 but you have to shoot someone at 9. Either way, back in 2004, a woman was eating a hot dog that she bought from her local Costco and she suddenly bit down on something metal. Now initially she thought a part of her braces had come off, but upon spitting out her mouthful, she realized it was a live 9mm bullet. If that wasn't bad enough, she later went to the doctor because she had stomach pain, and it turns out she swallowed a second live round without even realizing it. But the most dangerous part about all of this is the fact that live bullets can actually explode from the impact that would come with biting down on it. So she could have killed herself and not even known. It wouldn't even have been her fault. It would have been Costco's fault. But also, how did these live bullets get into this hot dog? Inside the meat, not even like, dressed on. Now at number 6 is weed killer, and that's not even a joke. Like, what the hell? That is a herbicide that is literally known to be deadly to human cells, and we are just unknowingly ingesting it because it's in a ton of our produce. Any vegetables you buy in a grocery store that aren't organic most likely have remnants of weed killer on them. And if you're unaware, weed killer can lead to problems like birth defects, cancer, and so forth. I feel like I've also had a lot of people tell me that produce in stores has some sort of spray on them as well to make them look shinier so people buy them, and I always kind of brush that off too, but like, what am I doing with my life? And I also half-ass wash them as well. I don't even wash them properly. Let's wash them properly, people. Let's make good decisions 2020, right? Let's not do that. Follow not by my example. Thanks. Coming in at number 5 is human blood. And I mean, this isn't too out of the ordinary. If you like your steaks rare, then you're probably quite familiar with the taste. I, on the other hand, prefer my steaks medium rare, but that's just because I'm a G. But still, eating human blood with your food is still a disgusting thought regardless, unless you're like a closeted cannibal. Now, blood is actually really commonly found in food only because food employees and chefs use knives and cutting tools so much that cuts just happen on a daily basis. Half the time they don't even realize the wound is there, and sometimes it splatters into our food and just gets mixed in with Szechuan sauce. And you'd think tending the wound and then going back to food prep would help, but you'd be wrong. Say a bandage falls into your food, like that is 10 times worse than blood, not to mention all the disease risks that come with blood. Like, nah, let's not do that. Bodily liquids, no. At number 4 are mice. An unpopular opinion because I know some people have them as pets and whatnot, but I actually hate mice and rats. Like I can't stand the look of them, I hate them. I saw one in real life and I legit cried and debated Airbnb-ing at 3 AM. It's just not a good time for me. Although, I did have a guinea pig growing up. Loved him very much, his name was Fluffy. R.I.P. Anyway, in places like China, deep fried mice are actually a delicacy, but eating them here is very much accidental. A lot of the time they get caught in some part of the production line and end up deep fried, salted, and in your next bag of Lay's potato crisps. A customer found a mangled mouse baked into the crust of a loaf of bread she brought, which is absolutely rank. Can you even imagine? Another customer called Kate Barrett bought a jar of tikka masala sauce to add to the chicken she was cooking, and when she poured it out, it seemed just a lot lumpier than usual. Then she realized the lump had a tail and whiskers, and it was in fact a buy one get one free rodent. No, 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 no! Ugh. And even when I see like videos on Instagram of people feeding their pet snakes like those frozen mice, I'm just like, bleh. Filling at number 3 slot are fingers. Why? I can't. Like I'm just gonna throw up just thinking about it. I can't. I want to throw up now at the fact that how common this actually is. Like I swear I don't need this in my life. I promise you no one needs this in their life. Back in 2005, North Carolina-based Clarence Stowers was eating a container of Cole's frozen custard when he bit into something he thought was a piece of candy. Candy, it was not. A severed finger, it definitely was. Apparently, since the finger was kept frozen, it was then reattached to the worker that was injured in the machine accident that caused the event to happen. That same year in San Jose, a woman found a finger in a cup of chili she got at Wendy's. But then, get this, a man in Nevada claimed that the woman's husband bought the finger from him to plant in her food in hopes of scamming Wendy's. I mean, when you're desperate, you know, gotta plant some fingers in your wife's food. Gotta get that dough. Now at number 2 is glass. Now no one's trying to eat glass, end of, that is it. If you're trying to kill someone, sure, put shards of glass in their food, but I mean there are also better ways to kill someone. Do something that's less messy. Now glass is so commonly found in food that famous companies like Nestle have had to recall huge batches of things like ravioli products because they had all been contaminated with glass shards. One of the biggest stories happened in 1986 when a New York woman was feeding her baby some Gerber baby food and saw him spitting it all out in pain. On further observation, she realized he was also bleeding from his mouth because there were shards of glass inside the jar. After contacting the FDA about it, they found cases of the same thing in 30 other states but refused to recall the products because apparently the FDA doesn't care about us. Is this news to anyone? Didn't think so. And finally, at number 1 is a tongue-eating louse. And excuse me while I literally empty out the contents of my Subway lunch at the thought of that absolutely shocking title. The Cymothua exigua, aka the tongue-eating louse, is a personal gift from hell. It's a tiny parasite that crawls into the gills of fish and devours their tongues from the inside. It then attaches itself to the stub that's left and becomes the fish's new tongue, and most of the time the fish doesn't even freaking realize its tongue is now a crustacean. Fish companies know exactly how to look for these parasites, but in some rare cases they slip through the system and end up at the grocery store and into your grocery cart. And that's what happened to this Belfast man who was preparing a fish dinner. As he was cleaning the fish, he turned it upside down to shake it and its mouth opened, and the thing that came out of its mouth was like an embryo from the movie Alien. Sorry, had to just swallow my own vomit there. And that's it for today's video, guys. I had a big lunch, to be fair, and after this video I think I'm good on food for a while now. Like I can deal with not eating for a while. Let me know which one from the list you found to be the worst, and also tell me your own horror stories in the comments below. As always, I'm your host Eamon Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye! When he poured it out to try and get to the bottom of it, but paint aside, a lot of food manufacturers used it to make their white fruits. And we are just unknowingly ingesting it because it's a ton. The other thing that's not a joke is the fact that people have argued that titanium dioxide could be Now the other thing that's not a joke is the fact that people have argued that titanium dioxide could be a carcinogen. Now the Cymothua exigua The Cymothua exigua